Hey everybody, it's Rob here. Us Barbs have it pretty tough with the upcoming Season 9 starting here on Tuesday. But it's not all doom and gloom for the Barb, and there's actually a few new things that might have some potential. And while I myself might not be starting the Barb, I'll have a video coming on that, I still want to bring you a cool build guide here to look forward to. I got you, Barb Nation. So we're gonna get into the Barb here and what we can do with Season 9. And I think one of the most potential and also new builds here that the Barb has available is the lunging strike. Like, this is not the strongest build, but this is topping B tier and might even have a small chance of going into the low A tier. You can see here a Torment 4 boss against Lord Zir. Boom, we smack him. There's no overpower, we just blast him down with a double-digit billion every attack that we do here with Quacks. And basically playing the new mountain hoof gloves here that boots that are gonna help us a lot. And this build can also take down Belial here, like somewhat comfortable. This is like the setup here, revolving around lunging strike and also revolving around bleed, resetting our cooldowns like crazy. With the Rage of Haragath here, we have the full setup, the planner, and this is also one of the best leveling builds that you can play right from the start with the Barb. And keep in mind, Blizzard also said they are looking to rebalance some of the Torment tiers, so it might be much easier to kill Belial and to kill the T4 bosses than what you see in this video. But even with this, you see Belial, he kind of spawns and he doesn't die in one shot, but he dies in about 5 seconds, so it's still pretty solid. And we also have the Will Breaker, which is a new Horadric gem that we get here. I'll show you one more kill. So overall, I think it's gonna be like pretty solid. And from this video, I'm expecting to have at least 50% more damage in the live season. Again, the Will Breaker gives us a 1.4. We're getting a bit of a nerf from the Ugly Bastard, but then again, they are also reducing the HP of these bosses. And it could be pretty decent, and this is also going to be very nice for speed farming, basically anything Torment 4 related. You know, if we're clicking on the Barb here on my tier list that I'm also going to link below, it looks pretty bad, but you see like the top of the list here is the lunging strike. And then, well, depending on how they rebalance stuff, it might have some potential to go at the like very bottom of A tier. Maybe you can do like a pit 95 with this, and maybe if the rebalancing is enough, maybe it's even gonna scratch the 100. You can also alternatively play Flay, and the great thing is, like, if you play lunging or you play Flay, it's very easy to switch between the builds. And like I said, you can play this right from the start in leveling. So I'm playing like here a Whirlwind lunging strike with Earthquake attack rune. This is very solid. I've been playing it quite a bit here during leveling. You may have seen this video here. Like, this is basically just doing the new Nightmare dungeons here with this kind of playstyle. So you can kind of see we just lunging strike around. I had Upheaval here, but I think Whirlwind's gonna be better. And we're basically like picking up these XP globes and yeah, it's pretty solid. It's also pretty fast because you're just gonna dash every time, and then we get this like you know, new things here, the strong rooms, and it's just a pretty solid build. I think I'm doing the full strong room here, so this also works pretty well. And yeah, the build is just going basically. Like, we're just keep skilling stuff, and we keep blasting here with lunging, and you see like the Earthquake and the lunging itself does a very, very good amount of damage. And you can always add an Earthquake because early on, before you have the new unique, you kind of have more single target and you're not really like full AoE. But that's why we have the tech rune, and that's why we can take Whirlwind, which I think is going to be better, depending a bit on which aspects you fight. But this is basically what I recommend for leveling. And then as soon as you get the new boots, the Hooves of the Mountain God, and once you're level 6, you can transition into this Paragon 200 build. I'm going to have both the planners below. So this one doesn't require any Ubers. Obviously, in the end game, it's best to at least play with a Starless guy, because we're playing Shadow of Eranthiel, and then your lunging strike becomes a spender. It costs Fury, thus proccing your Starless guy. But we're going to be focusing more on the non-Uber version. This is like what you can very well start on. Again, after the leveling, after you're 60, then you transition into this. And you're going to be target farming the bosses. The first thing you want to get is the Hooves of the Mountain Gods. You can just go to the database here, and you click on the loot table, and then you can just type in God. And then you already know that the Hooves here are going to be dropping from the Beast in the Ice and from Urivar, and that's where you can get them basically. So you want to be doing Beast in the Ice ideally. That's going to be pretty comfortable. And get these new Mountain God boots, and then you basically, your lunging strike is now going to deal AoE, it's going to teleport you to the monsters, and it's going to be pretty strong overall. So we have the Ugly Bastard. It's a bit nerfed, but it's still going to be a very, very strong item. Rage of Haragath, and we combine this with the Bleed rune on Lunging Strike, basically triggering Bleed every time. And Lunging Strike has a crazy high lucky hit, 50% base. And when we rock Fist of Fate, we can get this up to 100%. So we're basically going to be lucky hitting all the time, reducing all of our cooldowns constantly. We're going to have Perma Shout, Perma Wrath, Perma Groundstomp if we need. And it's going to be a pretty good combination here. Then we have the Fist of Fate. There's also, depending on how it's going to go, with the buff that they did here, because they said it's also going to be, the Pain Gorger is also going to working with crit and overpower. But we'll see how strong that's going to be. I'm like not really convinced with this. Maybe it's going to be good. There might even be some bug and we're going to do 150 again with this, because there's some double dipping potential. With these ones, because again, you're dealing damage based on damage that you've already dealt. So I would always be kind of careful with this. But I think the safe bet is Fist of Fate. Then we're rocking Tybet's Will. You can also alternatively play a normal pants, like put the Earthquake Toughness aspect here. I think it's called Bull Katos. This gives you 25% toughness. If you don't have Tybet's Will, you can put the Bull Katos one and just look for Lunging Strike ranks on the pants. But the great thing with Tybet's Will, it's giving you max resources, and that's double dipping with this build, because you are 1, scaling your adaptability, and 2, you are scaling your Ramalaldis, the Ramalala Ding Dong, and both of them basically scale your damage based on how much Fury you have. So you want to be looking to have 300 to 400 Fury, and Tybet's Will can give you up to 50, so that's pretty wild. And then we have the Hoofs here, focus on the attack speed, and obviously try to get high secondary. Moonrise here for big multipliers. There's the chance for Lunging Strike to deal double damage. It's going to basically double your damage. Shard of Viranthil, again, big multiplier, and also activates your Starless Sky later on. Then we have the Ramalaldis here, big multiplier with resources, the aspect of the Earthquakes. We trigger our Earthquakes with the Moni, which is Lunging Strikes and Mobility skill, so that's going to trigger the Attack Rune. Very easy, very comfortable, and very, very strong because it's a generic multiplier. Then we rock Vehemence here, giving extra ultimate ranks, also DPS. We're going to be casting Warcry permanently every 10 seconds. Wrath the Berserk here, excuse me. And this has also been buffed to last a full 10 seconds now. So that's going to be pretty nice and pretty consistent. And you can always use the Groundstorm to reset your Wrath, especially early on when you don't have any cooldown yet. And then again, you're also getting the resets from Rage of Haragath. So it should be pretty comfortable to keep up Wrath. But just to be sure, you can get some Tempers here. Wrath the Berserk cooldown, very good. Edge Master here, you're going to replace this later on with Starless Sky. And then Adaptability on the Amulet, because it scales very well with all your Fury and Lunging Strike range. Is also pretty nice to have here. This basically allows you to teleport a bit further. You can kind of see this in the gameplay here. Put this a bit down. I still had propulsion in this gameplay, so you need to ignore the big AoE explosions. But as you can see here, even without propulsion, so in the beginning there's a couple propulsions, this big AoE proc's not going to happen. But there's still these small AoE procs that's going to be pretty good. Thanks for the raid, Aaron. And yeah, you see here, this is the completely without propulsion. You're still going to be teleporting, because that's the base mechanic of the Lunging Strike, basically allowing you to teleport and being pretty strong. So I think we have this also here in the second clip. So once we go back here, you see it's still one-shotting everything, even without the propulsion being active. So you go here, go attack some guys, boom, 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 here, and then see, we just go to here, and boom, it's going to be hitting for 2 billion, and they just all die, basically, even without any of the propulsion procs. And yeah, this is a pretty low tier, but you're going to go much higher, because you've seen, we can also hit for up to, a couple billions here when we, blast down the bosses. And in general, it's going to be a solid build, and it's going to be kind of new. This is, the only kind of, new stuff that we have on the BARB here, hitting for 20 billion. 24, but that's an overpower. But in general, it's going to be double-digit billion per Lunging Strike. We're rocking a Smoldering Ember, Bottled Wind, Reactive Ooze, a Bloody Charm, and then here's Scornful Light. Again, we're going to be doing element damage, because Ugly Bastard is transferring our physical damage into fire damage, which is elemental damage. And then hopefully this will work. This is the new will breaker. They just added this, so we haven't tested this in the PTR. It's another 1.4 multiplier for physical damage. And the idea, the theory is that before our ugly bastard is converting our lunging strike physical damage into fire damage, that we get the 1.4 multiplier. This has to be tested, but I mean, this is basically the reason, like, kind of that they introduced this these physical gems, so we can actually get a boost to physical builds, and Barb is the most physical class you can get, so I'm hoping this is gonna work. And then we have the Isle from Below, extra elites, extra multiplier, extra life, pretty crazy. Skill tree, we obviously max lunging strike with bleed to proc the Rage of Paragon, more fury, and also more max fury here, generation and max fury. We need this again for Ramalaldi and adaptability. Ground stomp here. This is going to be to reduce our Wrath the Berserk cooldown, very easy. Then toughness. So we have, you know, the war cries. We have Belligence here, more damage. You also want to temper this because after you attack with a basic skill, which is lunging strike, you're going to deal more damage. So it's going to be very nice to have this as a temper and as a masterwork on the weapon. And then, yeah, challenging shout. We have war cry. We have all the berserking stuff, all the usual support stuff here, fortify stuff. Wrath the Berserk, we're going to be spending and generating lots of fury, so invigorating is a ton of healing. Unconstrained key passive. Paragon board looks something like this. Marshal here in the starter board. We have Wrath for extra fury again. Warbringer to get fortified. Unfortunately, there's not really like another good multiplicative board for this, because we don't deal bleed damage, we don't have Force of Nature. Flawless Technique is not going to do anything for us. Carnage isn't really that great, and Bonebreaker is not working either. So we're going to be kind of playing the Fortify here, and then we are rocking the Blood Rage with a Challenger Glyph. We are rocking Weapons Master here, 1.3, 1.3, with Ambidextrous, because we're going to be using Ramalaldi and dual wield one-handers. And then finally we have the Decimator board, pretty good here, with our, can't even see, exploit here right now, because this is like more of a speed farm build. Once you like push, you don't want the exploit glyph anymore, and you're probably going to take something like that is more like a DPS multiplier. I haven't really like looked into like the crazy details here, but pretty sure you can find something like probably like Revenge, and then you skill like 1 in the Thorns, and you get a 1.15x and the 1.1. So that's going to be pretty strong here. But yeah, then with Decimator, going to be very nice. And then in the end, guys, you want to transition into the Uber version. And then here you also have the legendary runes. And obviously you're going to have the legendary charms as well. And Monique Sun is pretty crazy. You can play Monique Quax as well. And the other one is Ahu. That's going to allow for some crazy procs. And then here we don't play tech anymore. When we have our cooldown figured out and we have our Ubers, we can just use the ground stomp pretty comfortable to keep up the earthquakes, just like I did in my clips. But yeah, overall, guys, don't expect the craziest stuff from Barb. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will still going to have fun on this. Like, again, 95 should work with this build. But if it can clear 100, depends a lot on the rebalancing of the pit tiers. Like they mentioned this in the patch notes, and they weren't really like super clear on this. And even though Barb is only like top of B tier, like B, the B in Barb is usually for B tier or better not play, I think there's still going to be a lot of fun on this. And I was actually really looking forward to Lunging Strike. And who knows, like maybe they'll put like a mid-season buff or something like that. It would definitely be cool. But we'll see. So I hope you enjoyed the Barb build, guys. And I think you're still going to enjoy it if you don't care too much about the high pits. There's not really a crazy reward, you know, for those high pits anyways. So yeah. Enjoy, my friends. We're going to be having a lot of fun anyways, and I'll probably make a Barb, you know, as my second or as my third character, and see what it's all about with Lunging Strike. And you know, there's always the possibility of having some crazy stuff go wrong with the Pain Gorgers and Berserk Ripping, and maybe we're going to do negative damage. Or some crazy stuff like that. We'll see. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Take it easy. Season starts here very soon. GG. Take care. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.